Hello, everybody. As we near the election on November 5th, one of the biggest propositions that are on the ballot is Proposition 6. So today we have the executive director of services for prisoners with legal services for prisoners with children, Paul Briley, and he's going to be discussing with us what Proposition 6 really is about and why voters should be supporting it. So, Paul, if you could fill us in, what is Prop 6?
Prop 6 is very historical. It's a constitutional amendment from the first iteration of our state constitution in 1849. And the practice of forced prison labor and remnants of slavery are embedded throughout this state's system of incarceration today. It is standard practice to force incarcerated people to perform labor and oftentimes in dangerous conditions against their will. Especially as global warming continues, the Division of Occupational Health and Safety proposed indoor heat rules for all workers statewide to not have to work in conditions inside that are higher than 87 degrees. However, they decided to carve out incarcerated workers. In situations like this, involuntary servitude can result in extreme bodily and mental harm and even death. This year alone, several individuals have passed away in both women and men facilities while performing labor. And the prioritization of forced labor results in the deprioritization of rehabilitation. Forced labor actually creates barriers to programs that will help individuals rehabilitate. A lot of people may not recognize that if someone performs a job inside of CDCR, California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, if they have a job, they're forced to work and they do not have the choice whether or not they want to pursue anger management, pursue higher education, pursue Alcohol Anonymous. And all of this can address the reason why they ended up in the situation that they're in there in the first place. Individual rehabilitation better equips individuals to re-enter into society. And in turn, it reduces recidivism. Forced labor is stifling towards the people's ability to rehabilitate. Prop 6 is about prioritization of rehabilitation. While the language currently in the California Constitution says that involuntary servitude is prohibited except for punishment of a crime. And while I wish I could say that was a remnant of the 13th Amendment that was ratified in 1865, California actually had this language in our Constitution 16 years before the infamous 13th Amendment. So California really played as the model to the 13th Amendment. California was established, as the 31st state, and it actually threw off the balance of free states and slave states. That's why during the establishment of this state, the only matter of great debate was the issue of slavery. So in California, the cost of imprisoning one person has increased by 90% in the past decade. That means it's roughly over 130,000. It's either around 132 or 130, between 132 and 136,000 to incarcerate one individual annually. Now, the entire carceral population is around 91,000. If you times 91,000 by 132,000, this is all tax-paying dollars that we are spending on incarcerating people, and it's not even going towards their rehabilitation. Prop 6 gives people the choice whether or not they want to choose higher education rather than being forced to work. And that reduces recidivism. So this enhances public safety and saves taxpayers dollars by ensuring people have the programming and rehabilitation before they go home and back into society.
So that's really interesting. You're saying the purpose of this is really to address a law that has been on the books for California's constitution and state constitution that goes all the way back before the Civil War with the Emancipation Proclamation that outlawed slavery in the nation per the 13th Amendment. But an exception was made for incarcerated individuals. And so I just want people to understand that and the historical significance of this proposition and really what's being asked for a change, because I think on the surface people get the misconception this is about punishment and prisoners being, they did the crime, they should do the time, and they don't really have sympathy for them in a sense of, well, they should be forced to work because somehow that's part of the punishment. So what you're proposing is that this is actually, in the long run, a better strategic move for taxpayers, for California residents, because with the rising cost of incarceration, it's a revolving door, right? So if those who are incarcerated prisoners are not being rehabilitated, they're coming out. Do you know the current recidivism rate?
The current recidivism rate, I want to say, is sheesh. It's on the top.
Yeah, we can look that up and because if there is a high recidivism rate, obviously this is something that's going to help reduce that. My understanding of that's what the aim is of this proposition. Am I correct in that assumption?
Yes. I want to say I think the recidivism rate for people, the most recent data that I've seen between 2018 and 2019 was 41.9%.
Okay.
So people are going back, but that's because we're not investing in their rehabilitation. California Department of Corrections needs to correct its behavior in forcing people to work. What it needs to do is put more access and resources towards allowing people to program and attend classes so that they can come back into society and contribute.
And part of that is educational programs where they can come out with job skills, correct?
Absolutely. From my experience, the brothers and sisters who come home that are educated are more educated than people I've seen on the streets with college degrees. So we really should not be dropping the ball on them. We need to invest in them. And there's a presumed rehabilitation upon the completion of their sentence. However, if we're not investing in their rehabilitation, it ultimately leads to recidivism. And this Prop 6 is not attempting to just change the language. We want to change the practice. And that's the practice of forced prison labor. We're not telling people to stop working entirely. There's not even enough jobs to have everyone who's incarcerated working. What this is doing is allowing people to have the choice of whether or not they would like to work.
Understood. And I think a lot of people who may not be educated on the subject don't even realize that this is occurring, number one. Number two, this is affecting a great majority of prisoners who are in there for nonviolent offenses, and not to choose a side or endorse a candidate either way between Trump and Kamala. So I don't want this statement to be misinterpreted as that. But California may not know that the Attorney General, Kamala Harris was the Attorney General at the time, actually had to be sued in court to lower the number of incarcerated nonviolent offenders to have early releases because they were the prison system was becoming overcrowded statewide. And as an Attorney General, the state of California actually argued against that reform, citing the simple fact that it would reduce the manpower hours of prison labor. So this is not something that's just a topic to debate. This is something that is currently in practice. It's affecting people's lives on a daily basis, and it's affecting, the outcome of recidivism rates because people are not getting those classes that are needed to help them improve their lives. So, is there anything else that you would like to add? I urge everybody that's watching this to go out, do more research. If you have questions, what's a good website that they can go to get more information?
Vote yes, prop6.com. And I will say to the comments you just made, there was wrong done by both presidential candidates. But this is not about who's right. This is about what's right. And the Constitution is intended to address people's rights. And the 14th Amendment provides equal protection for all people. And that should include the incarcerated population. And California is actually at the tail end of this. This is something that's trending all across the country. California is one of 16 states left that has this language in their constitution. The remaining states have either removed this language from their state constitution or they've stopped the practice. So California needs to get on board with Alabama, Tennessee. There are states in the South that have removed this language from their state constitution, but California has held on to this language. So I just urge voters to use your vote to do what's right. And what's right is to prevent people on the inside from being forced to work in dangerous conditions. And rather, we should be investing in their rehabilitation.
Well, thank you, Paul, for meeting with us today over Zoom out of San Francisco, correct?
Yes.
So thank you for taking the time to meet with us and help us educate our viewers. I definitely recommend anybody who has more questions, go to the website, get more information or do your own research. This is an opportunity, as Paul states, to really have California catch up with the rest of the country. If there's 34 states that have already made this change, why California is resistant to this, that is why it's being taken to the ballot, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. Anything else you would like to leave with our viewers?
Vote yes on Prop 6. Ultimately, it does not stop here. Ultimately, we would like to amend the federal constitution. So when you speak about the presidential candidates, what they can do, what's right, is amend the federal constitution. Because in the current version of the 2024 constitution, it literally says slavery is prohibited except for punishment as a crime. So slavery still exists in 2024. Right now, we're focusing on this state by state. Here in California, this is going to be on our ballot, as it is going to be on the ballot in Nevada. But ultimately, we want to amend the federal constitution, but let's start here.
Okay, well, thank you, Paul. Thank you for educating us and wish you much success in your endeavors. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Have a great day.